Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something channel. September 22nd, 2017.
Don't be a bully, Liawatha. It's not nice to bully other people, okay? Don't be a bully. Don't do that. It's not nice. 617-266-6868. Okay, my friends. Believe me, full plate today. We got a lot of great stories, but I just want to reinforce what I said the last hour, which is that, as you know, my confrontation with Senator Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, has now gone completely viral. Fox News has been playing it this morning. It's up on the Fox News website. It's now one of the most popular stories on the Daily Caller. The Gateway Pundit is now giving it big play. The Washington Times is now reporting on this as well. The local media, however, silent. Absolutely silent. And so I have reposted my column up on WRKO.com, confronting Elizabeth Warren, where I expose how she unethically and fraudulently became a multimillionaire. How she shilled for Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, was a major corporate consultant, got over $200,000 from Travelers Insurance while she was a professor at Harvard, that she preyed on people who foreclosed on their homes. She preyed on semi-senile old ladies, people who have got divorced or suffered a financial catastrophe. That's how she made her money. That's how she became a multimillionaire worth over $15 million. That's how she can drive around in a BMW 528. That's how she can drive a $80,000 SUV. That's how she can have a $2.7, almost $3 million mansion in Cambridge. She took money from the 1%. She hobnobbed with the 1%. She lives like the 1%, but she claims to hate and rail against the 1%. And so because I have now exposed her, she has now given the orders to state Democratic Party officials to essentially choke this show off by going after our financial supporters. Quote, we're going to teach that punk a lesson. Okay, Chief, if that's the way you guys want to play it, it's fine with me. Communist thugs like you don't scare me. And so, Kuhner Country, I'm urging all of you, please, let's call up her phone line in Washington, D.C., and let's let her know that her bullying, thuggish tactics are just not going to work. So do we have, this is the direct line to Elizabeth Warren's office in D.C., 202-224-4543. 202-224-4543. And just tell them that, you know, why doesn't she give up her millions of dollars to the poor? Why does she live like the 1% while she rails against the 1%? And let's see what the chief says. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is from the Daily Sheeple, and I want to give a hat tip to Kurt Schilling because he actually retweeted this. It's a board game that I'm sure Elizabeth Warren must love and play herself. This is probably her favorite game. It's called, you know, you've heard of Monopoly? Well, this is a Commopoly. In other words, communism monopoly. Commopoly. And so it's like the board game. It's got the hammer and sickle in the middle. You've got cards that say food rations. Another one that cards that say get out of gulag card. And basically, there's large stretches of the board game. It just says no property. There's just no property because they've taken it all. There's no property. However, on the corners, there's a gulag. There's a guy behind bars. It just says gulag. However, before the gulag, in between the gulag and the no property, there's a gun, and it says you've been purged from the party. Go back to the beginning. Another one, go to gulag. Another one is, let me see. Oh, yeah, free parking. Let me see. Oh, Holodomor. That's the Holocaust of the Ukrainians under Stalin. A Holodomor pickup card to see if you get food rations. Great Leap Forward is another one. Pickup card to see if you get food rations. My friends, you can see it for yourself. It's absolutely hilarious. We just retweeted it ourselves on our Twitter account at WRKO. Just go to WRKO Twitter and you can actually see the board game yourself. I bet the chief loves it. I bet Liawatha plays this for hours every night. Judy, you're up next. Go ahead, Judy.
Hi there, Jeff. Yeah,
Hi.
If you have sponsors that leave you, would you put their names up on your website, please?
They're not. My understanding is they're standing behind me shoulder to shoulder. But they're doing everything they can to go after the sponsors. And that's why I'm asking everybody, if you can, call 888-800-1881. That's the number of Bill Kelly Financial Services. And just let him know that you stand with Bill. If the line is busy, please keep calling. Just let him know that you stand with Bill and you really appreciate his support for the show. Because that's how they roll here. They can't go after me, so they try to go after the financial backers of the show. Because one voice of dissent against the liberal democratic regime, for them, is one too many. 617-266-6868. Jerry on the Cape. Go ahead, Jerry.
Comrade.
It reminds me of the old days, my friend.
I have a message for you from Dimitri. He says you will understand its meaning. Don't grab the pussycat. Jeff, I got three things for you about Elizabeth Warren to corroborate what you're saying, and also a point to Paul when Paul called in. Elizabeth Warren recently met in secret with Jamie Dimon in Washington, D.C. to seek his backing for the 2020 nomination. And she also spent Labor Day weekend with Robert Wolf of USB on Martha's Vineyard. And to your point, when Paul was talking about the voting fraud, Soros has got a group called Demos. They back voting initiatives. Amelia Warren Tiagi, her daughter, is the CEO of that nonprofit.
Ah, I didn't know that.
And they're fighting voting registration and ID lawsuits. And another thing, do you know who her husband is? Shushil Tiagi. He's an Iranian film producer with ties to Majid Majidi, who is the radical Islamic filmmaker for the mullahs in Tehran.
So she's got some really nefarious, seedy connections. As always, thank you, Jerry. Phenomenal information. 617-266-6868. The number again, many of you are saying I gave it a little bit too quickly. Okay. Elizabeth Warren's direct office number in Washington, D.C., 202-224-4543. 202-224-4543. Give Liawatha a call. Say, hey, I saw the video. You're going to give back all the money? You're going to sell the mansion in Cambridge? Gil in Lowell. Go ahead, Gil.
Comrade, I love you, brother.
Gil, how are you?
All right. Hey, two things. One, I wish you were more active on Facebook to reach more people.
Okay.
And another thing. I couldn't find much about Jeff's deal on the internet, or YouTube for that matter. Why do you support him, and what has he done?
Okay, Gil, for you to just learn for yourself, go to Deal for Senate, DIEHL. You'll see his position on many issues. Okay. Essentially, why I support him is this. He's honest. He's not corrupt. He's not on the take. He really is a genuine populist. He's a man of the people. He supports the wall. He wants to cut our taxes. In fact, he's leading an initiative to lower the sales tax for everybody in Massachusetts. He wants to rein in government spending, and he wants to get rid of Obamacare. In other words, on issue after issue after issue, we're going to have a real fighter, a real conservative representing us. And I think what I like most about him, Gil, to be perfectly frank, is he is willing to take the fight to Elizabeth Warren. I know the people around him. I know the campaign they're waging, and if they want to wage, they're not going to pull any punches. They will expose her for the fraud and hypocrite that she is. So even if she ends up winning, by the way, I think it's going to be a very close race, but even if she ends up winning, he is going to so damage her, so bloody her, so give her such a black eye by exposing the truth about her, it'll cripple her for 2020. Because believe me, there's one woman that can never come into the White House, and that's the chief. Can we squeeze in D? All right, D in New York City. Go ahead. Go D.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I'm a first-time caller, but a long-time listener.
Welcome. Welcome, D.
Yeah, because you guys are awesome, and right now I'm on my lunch break, and then I got to go back to work and everything. I just want to say, see how they act when they get real questions, and oh my God, Donna Brazil wasn't there to link it to her.
That's the thing. You see? When there's nobody there to prop her up, look how she crumbles like a house of cards. She's a phony. 121 here on the great WRKO. Okay, my friends, we were scheduled to speak with former UN Ambassador John Bolton. He was literally on Fox Outnumbered between noon and 1. We're supposed to speak to him about 1:20. He said he's going to be on a train. However, having a hard time reaching him. So let me just let everybody know once again what is going on. Elizabeth Warren is now on the warpath. After my confrontation with her, that video has now gone viral. Fox News has now been playing it. It's up on the Fox News website. It's one of the most popular stories on the Daily Caller. Sarah Palin has retweeted it. Gateway Pundit is now linked to it. The Washington Times has now done a story on it. Now you have even international media now looking to do a story on this. The local media, as always, they're in the tank. But nationally and internationally, this story is getting big. And so now to lash out at the Kuhner man for daring to have the temerity to ask her a tough question about her hypocrisy, her utter and complete hypocrisy of owning a massive mansion, being worth over $15 million, having done tremendous amounts of money by doing consulting for, you name the big bank or the Wall Street firm. Citigroup, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Travelers Insurance. If they had money, she lined her pockets. After I expose her as a house flipper who took advantage of poor, vulnerable, innocent people. After all of this is now coming out, she has now given the order to silence the Kuhner man. She can't get me, she can't damage me, but she now wants to go after the people who back me. In other words, cut off my money supply. No money, no show. And so what I'm urging now to everybody in Kuhner country is, please, if you can, give Bill Kelly in particular a call, 888-800-1881, 888-800-1881. Thank Bill for supporting the show, and thank him for having our back, because Bill is not going to back down. Had a long conversation with Bill this morning. He is not going to back down whatsoever, and I've got a message for Elizabeth Warren. You phony, you fraud, you want to be communist thug? What's the matter? One question, and you crumble like a house of cards, and now all of a sudden, you have to try to silence me, get me off the air, muzzle me? It's not going to work. It's not going to work, because people like you don't scare me. And the truth is going to get out. And so you can go to WRKO.com. I have reposted my column. All of the evidence is there confronting Elizabeth Warren, Kuhner's Corner. And, you know, I just want to ask all of you this, in all seriousness. What has happened to the American left? Remember, the left and the liberals in particular used to say, I disagree with you, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it. Now, whether it be on university campuses, whether it be in the media, whether it be wherever, All they want to do now is censor anybody who has a different opinion or, God forbid, should criticize them. I mean, what's the difference between that and totalitarianism? Now they don't like the First Amendment. Now hate speech is not free speech. Now they're against the against freedom of expression. What are you so afraid of? Chief, if your money is so up above board, if it's so on the up and up, if you're not a crony capitalist, which you are, and if you're not a 1%er, which you are, and if you didn't get your money in a shady, sleazy way, which you did, what's the problem, Chief? Liawatha, what's the problem? What are you so afraid of? I'll tell you what she's afraid of. That's why she reacted and melted down when I confronted her. She knows I hit a raw nerve. She knows that that was the one question that they do not want to be asked in this state, and the progressives who are backing her don't want to be asked around the country. She talks like Bernie, but she acts like Hillary. She says she's against corporate plutocracy. She says she's against the rule of the wealthy. She says that the rich are evil. But she takes and takes and takes. She likes the fancy cars. She likes the big mansions. She likes the swanky apartments. And she does her little shtick. Have you noticed she always has the same jacket? Always with the kind of humble look. You know, she's always got this little public image. My daddy. My daddy. By the way, which woman over 60 refers to her father as my daddy? My daddy. But, you know, but let that go. Remember when the media was jumping on Ivanka for calling her father daddy? Remember that one? Well, when the chief refers to her daddy as daddy, suddenly it's not a problem. Suddenly it's not a problem. So what does the fact that you had 3 brothers who served in the military, that your father was a janitor, that your mother, whatever, worked, that supposedly, and that's another lie, by the way. That's another lie. She claims that she drove around in this beat-up station wagon and she could barely make ends meet, and I paid $450 to go to a state law school and $50 for a commuter college, and we had nothing. My daddy, we had nothing. She tooled around in her senior year. She was driving around town in a MG, which is, for those of you that don't know it, it's a British sports car. You know, those without the tops on? She was driving around in a white MG sports car. That's what she was doing at 17 years of age. She talks about the 2 beat-up cars they had. She doesn't mention the third, which was her little sports car that she would drive around. I guess her daddy bought her the car. So everything about her is a lie. She's not an Indian. She's not a Cherokee. Her ancestors on the census even said they were white. She never enrolled in a Native American tribe. Everything about her is BS. Everything. Everything. By the way, you know how she got into college? Not because she was, paying $450 a semester. Commuter college. She got a scholarship. She got a scholarship. In other words, America was incredibly good and generous to her. And she lied and conned her way to millions and millions and millions of dollars. And now that the Kuhner man has exposed her and called her out, she thinks she's going to silence me? Chief, I got news for you. I've taken on people a lot tougher than you. You don't scare me. Chief, we're going to make you teach again.
WRKO, the voice of Boston.
617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, we're going to do this at 2:05, but it's the Kuhner Country poll question du jour, as the French would say, of the day, sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. Do you think Aaron Hernandez's CTE, in other words, his traumatic brain injury, the brain damage that they said the scan shows that he had, did that cause him to commit murder? Do you think it was a major factor for why he murdered Odin Lloyd and may have murdered even some other people? If you believe the answer is yes, text the letter A to 680-680. If you believe the answer is no, text the letter B to 680-680. As always, you can vote online at WRKO.com. Okay, my friends, we're going to get to that, I promise, at 2:05. But first, the Democrats now escalate their use of the race card. And so, if you've noticed, now in the wake of Charlottesville, it's the KKK are everywhere. White supremacists are everywhere. Well, listen now to a key member of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congressman John Lewis from Georgia, who actually marched with Martin Luther King in Selma, Alabama in the early 1960s. Listen to him say, since Trump's come into power, everybody's wearing a hood. Roll it, Brittany.
And what we see happening now is not new. The man that some people voted for just made it very comfortable for people to put on those hoods, put on those sheets. And I tell you, if we're not mindful or watchful, we're going to go back. We come too far. We made too much progress to go back. I don't want to go back. I want to go forward, and we must go forward.
Absolutely. When you mentioned that he.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know, maybe it's just the circles that I run in. I don't see anybody wearing sheets. I don't see anybody wearing hoods. I don't see anybody joining the KKK. I don't know what these liberals are talking about. So, according to him now, because of Trump, we are heading back to Selma, Alabama. We're now heading back to what it was 50, 60 years ago. And I'm like, what, has it suddenly become now in fashion to put on a hood or put sheets over you and start burning crosses? Because I'll tell you this, I don't know, maybe it's just a Boston thing or whatever, but in Boston, I don't see anybody with a hood. I don't see anybody wearing sheets. Now, I have to say, full disclosure, I've been getting, the KKK are soliciting people. What is it? I got something from the KKK. Now they say you can be a member, $250. They even throw in the sheets for free now. They throw it in for free now, according to these clowns. Like literally, what planet are these people living on? In fact, it's the exact opposite. Never has the KKK or white supremacists been more marginal, more on the fringe, more outside of the mainstream of American society. In fact, I pointed that out when Black Lives Matter shut this city down a couple of weeks ago over that free speech rally, which had nothing to do with white supremacy. According to the FBI and the government's own statistics, there are less than 100,000 members of KKK, white supremacists, neo-Nazi groups, white nationalist groups, the alt-right. You lump all of, in fact, the real number is more like 50 or 60,000. But if you want to go super conservative high, it's 100,000. In a nation of 330 million. You know what that means? That's 0.012%. It's nothing. I mean, it's nothing. But it's always Selma, Alabama. It's always, if you've noticed, Mississippi burning. It's always the cake. Now there's the KKK, white supremacists. They're just coming out of nowhere now. Now they're just coming out of, they're everywhere now. Now, because of Trump, everybody, hey, let's put on a hood. Hey, let's go burn a cross. It's how they are completely manufacturing reality, creating a complete fiction, and they try to sell it to the American people is utterly beyond me. Really, it's utterly beyond me. Now, furthermore, Here is the great secret of our time. There actually is racism. It really is alive and well. It's black supremacy. What is Black Lives Matter but a black supremacist movement? Here, take Jamil Hill at ESPN. Jamil Hill is an anti-white, anti-cop hater. She's a black supremacist. Now, they don't wear hoods. They don't put on sheets. They're not burning crosses. But switch white for black, it's the same ideology. It's the same hatred. How come John Lewis is not condemning them? How come he's not condemning Antifa? There's a hell of a lot more members of Antifa, believe me, than there are of your local KKK. KKK are not shutting down the highways. KKK are not burning down campuses. KKK are not rioting or walking around with sticks and batons, beating the hell out, the living daylights out of people outside of Charlottesville. But Antifa is doing this town after town, city after city, campus after campus. How come Congressman Lewis is not condemning that? I'll tell you why. Because he's a race baiter. Forgive me, but like many in the Congressional Black Caucus, like Jesse Jackson, the non-Reverend Al Sharpton, like Obama before him, he was a race pimp. That's what it was. They're just pimping out, race-mongering, race-baiting, and just keep playing the race card again and again. Because for John Lewis to have any relevance, for John Lewis to continue to line his pockets, for him to continue to cash in, it has to be Selma, Alabama, 1961, no matter how far away we get from that. It's always Mississippi burning, 1964. It's always the 4 young girls who were killed in that church in Mississippi. And that can never end, because that's their ticket to the gravy train. That's how they line their pockets. That's how they keep their influence. That's how they keep their power. Mass hysteria and scare up, fear up, monger up the minority communities. Make them believe that the KKK is just around the corner. That's their shtick. And it's about time we said enough is enough. The only racists left, the only race baiters left, the only true supremacists left are you on the left. 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Russ in Boston, you're up first. Go ahead, Russ.
First of all, Jeff, this congressman needs psychiatric help. You know, what has been accomplished in this country in the last 60 years in reference to race has never been accomplished in any other country in the face of this earth for the history from the caveman. And it's just sickening to hear an idiot. And I'm telling you, that filthy, rotten Democratic Party, the only thing that they always go back to is race, 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 gender, gender, gender. And they do more damage than they do good. And it's really disgraceful.
Russ, I'm with you. And thank you for that call. 617-266-6868. Tom on the South Shore. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, thank you. The way I see this is it's nothing more than orchestrated, planned, scripted anarchy and fear-mongering, because they're laying the groundwork to get the black vote out. And unfortunately, there are so many ignorant people out there that they will take the bait. They didn't get a good black turnout for the Trump presidency, but on the midterm elections, this fear-mongering is going on nonstop, parroted and looped endlessly by the media that they own, which is just meant to rally the base and get them out. It's just horrible. And just one point, I'll close on this. If we owe these folks so much for reparations for things that none of us had anything to do with, what do they owe us for being the first country that I'm aware of to end slavery? I'll close on that.
Brilliant. I mean, absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's 600,000 people that died in the Civil War to end slavery. I mean, if you want to play this game, I hate these games, but if you want to play these games, you're completely right, Tom. And I think you nailed it. You see, what happened in the election was that the African American turnout for Hillary, for obvious reasons, was nowhere near as high in what it needed to be for Obama, as it was for Obama in 2008 and 2012. So now they're saying, ooh, if we're going to win back at least the House in 2018, we got to scare, the bejesus out of them. We got to make them think their churches are being burned down, crosses are being burned everywhere. You've got people in white hoods and sheets. They're on Tremont Street, for God's sakes. They're on they're taking over the Boston Common. Come on, there was a free speech rally 4 weeks ago. The Klan's invading Boston, or whatever, pick your city. So to so galvanize them, so whip them up with fear and anger and hysteria, so they can get that voter turnout, pump it up as high as possible, because they think that's the way to beat Trump. And so Russ mentioned race, race, race. There's also something else now they're pumping up big. Russia, Russia, Russia. So, as it now clearly appears that there was no Russian collusion whatsoever. Forget the evidence. Now the fear-mongering on Russia has to go to the, it's not 1 to 10, it's 11 on the decibel dial. Now it's through the stratosphere, the fear-mongering on Russia. So, left-wing Hollywood actors came together and are now pushing out an ad. You're probably going to see it on the TV screen over this weekend. Listen now to Morgan Freeman, the narrator. Roll it, Brittany.
We have been attacked. We are war. The free world is counting on us for leadership. For 241 years, our democracy has been a shining example to the world of what we can all aspire to. And we owe it to the brave people who have fought and died to protect this great nation and save democracy. And we owe it to our future generations to continue the fight.
We're at war. They're running ads. We're at war.
We have been attacked.
We're attacked.
We are at war.
We're at war. It's Pearl Harbor. It's 9/11. The Russians have attacked us. So my question now to the left is this. So if we've been attacked, as you claim, so we're going to start launching Tomahawk missiles on Moscow. What do you guys want to do? You want to embargo the Baltic Sea? Sir, what do you guys want to do? You want to send in special forces in the Kremlin and take out Vladimir Putin? Is that what you guys want? So one of the people that was behind this ad is, of course, rabid, loony left-winger, Meathead. He used to play Meathead which was a great name, by the way, for him, on Archie Bunker, Rob Reiner. And he ends up going on Tucker Carlson's show. Ay, ay, ay. You gotta hear this exchange. Wow. That, more with your calls, next. Okay, so now you have Hollywood pushing out a big ad saying we are at war with Russia. That's right, we're at war, according to Morgan Freeman, the narrator in that ad. So one of the people behind the ad is director, former actor Rob Reiner, Meathead on Archie Bunker. He was on Tucker last night. Oh ho! So Tucker asks him the obvious question. Hey, we're at war. You planning to launch nukes against Russia? Roll it, Britain.
But you don't really believe we're at war. Why are you saying it then?
Well, because if you watch the entire video, it talks about cyber warfare. It talks about how he was able to use, the internet and cyber tools to attack the democracy, which is what they did.
But shouldn't you say somewhere in there, we're not really at war? We're just kind of taking creative license. We're just trying to get you all pumped up. But it's not really war. Like, we shouldn't respond as you would as if you're in a war. Why not just say that so you don't confuse people?
Well, I say, if you watch the whole video,
I did.
You wouldn't be confused about it. The thing that I've always felt is that you know, people don't really understand the capacity for cyber warfare beyond the obvious stuff of, you know, hacking into people's computers or using the internet. You know, Facebook, we now find out, you know, that they were using Facebook to push out certain kind of propaganda.
So nobody knows about hacking, Rob? So, so it's cyber warfare. It's not real warfare. You phony, you fraud, you. So then the obvious question becomes this, okay? What is Hollywood's now biggest market in the world? It's not America, by the way. It's China. Communist China. With over 1 billion people. And Hollywood now has been pumping and peddling their movies in China for years. And guess what? The Chinese censor every movie shown in China. And Hollywood has gone along with this state-sanctioned censorship. And guess what? You want to talk about hacking. Who's hacked the White House? China. Who's hacked our military secrets? China. Who's hacked the Defense Department and all of our federal agencies? China. Who steals all of our intellectual property? China. So if you want to talk about a quote-unquote assault on democracy, forget Vladimir Putin. He's a choir boy compared to Beijing. Rob, Meathead, what do you say to that? Roll it, Brittany.
I agree with you. We are very divided, and maybe this is one of the reasons. A lot of this is deeply disingenuous. Anyone who looks at cyber warfare will tell you, any honest person will say, the Chinese military is the primary culprit in the United States. Hacked into the White House not that long ago, into the computer system there, into almost every federal agency. Nobody said anything. You guys in Hollywood sell your movies in China. You bow to the imperatives of their propaganda and censorship office. You change your movies to suit them. And yet no one says we're at war with China. And I wonder why. So you're sucking up to this regime that has actually broken in and stolen industrial and military secrets that hurt this country. You say nothing until Hillary Clinton loses, and all of a sudden we're at war with Russia. Can you see why some of us are saying, well, wait a second, Rob Reiner.
China is buying up Hollywood the way they're buying up Washington. Yet you'll never see these phonies in Washington, especially the Democrats and the establishment Republicans, denounce Chinese espionage, Chinese hacking, Chinese cyber warfare. No, 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 no. They want the boogeyman, the Russians, because it makes the best James Bond movie. The best supervillains are the Russians. And so that's why they picked on poor Vladimir Putin. Race and Russia. Race and Russia. That's all the Moonbats have left. Okay, my friends. Coming up next, Aaron Hernandez. Did having brain damage cause him to commit murder? Next.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 2 o'clock.